Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to a Division 2 video, and today we're going over the development stream of the PTS TU22 Seasons 2.0 Phase 2 that will start tomorrow. We are doing a quick recap. There is already a lot of information out there. I already talked about a bunch of changes that they made for the PTS Phase 2. I will link the video on the screen right now so you want to check it out if you want to have a little bit more in-depth information of all the changes, but I will recap some of them because there are a bunch of great reversions or a little less of a nerf. So let's start with the PTS itself. The PTS will be live on the PC version of this game if you have Ubisoft Connect. If you own the game, you can preload it tonight or probably already whenever you see this video, and it will go live tomorrow at 1 PM CEST or 9 AM PT, and it will close the same times on a Monday. Again, we can only test this out on PC. And then let's dive into the balancing real quick, and they started off the balancing topic with why the nerfs and not just buffing up other gear and or weapons. And Yannick explained that they are afraid for the power creep. When you keep buffing items, you will set a new bar of the lowest DPS values, and that bar gets raised and raised and raised and raised until the whole content in the game isn't balanced anymore, and that's why they're doing it like this. They're buffing and nerfing a little bit. As Yannick said himself, that they didn't really nerf anything into the ground, and if you feel so, let them know so they might can change it before the update goes live. And then, of course, go over a few changes that they made. Obliterate is still getting a nerf, but it's going from 25% to 20%, where in the PTS Phase 1 it was 17. So that's still a nerf a little bit, but I'm okay with the 20% value. Then the Saint Elmo and the Ouroboros got their 10 rounds back. So in Phase 1, we received a nerf on the Ouroboros and on the Saint Elmos of a minus 10 rounds on the magazine, and they reverted that. All of the other changes will still apply. For example, the crit chance and the crit damages will still be lower on their attachments. Sledgehammer got brought back to working for your whole team, but they nerfed the damage. The damage in the game now is 30 and 40% damage to armor whenever you hit somebody with a grenade, and they will change that to respectfully 15 and 20% damage to armor. It will still work for your team, and the Mosquito will work now as well. They will keep the changes for the Mosquito, so you could combine it, and then you can get up to a 45% damage to armor instead of first the 40 of only Sledgehammer. Then they talked about, of course, the Striker backpack. We went from 100% to 90% instead of that 85 that it was on PTS Phase 1. So we lost 10% instead of 15%, and I'm okay with that value as Striker is already pretty strong. Then going over the new exotic assault rifle, the Strega, and the Strega will get a little nerf. They will keep the damage numbers of that 15% amplified damage per mark, but the marks now spread within 10 meters instead of that 20, and we have to test that out, and I'm very curious how this will impact the weapon. And those are, in my opinion, one of the biggest changes that they made from Phase 1 to Phase 2. Again, there are some other changes as well. Check out my video or, of course, the patch notes in the description. Then they talked about the Scorpio, as that was not in the developer notes, that they are still nerfing it, but not by as much. As now in the game you only have to shoot 1 pellet to poison somebody. In Phase 1 that needed to be 3 pellets, but now in Phase 2 that will be 2. And so now the talent description goes to 2 shots, 4 shots, 6 shots and 9 shots. So it's a little bit better. We still got a little bit of a nerf for the Scorpio, but it isn't as bad in Phase 1. So that's a great change, and I do not know why they did not add that to the former developer notes. And then they dropped the bomb about the new Throwback Event guaranteeing you seasonal exotics. Next week, this event will go live, and every 48 hours we will get a new project asking us to participate in one of the previous season's climax missions. If you then complete that mission, you will be rewarded with that season's exotic, and it is 100% guaranteed. 100% drop chance. We will get 10 projects. 48 hours will stretch over the next 3 weeks, and we will get 10 guaranteed exotics. And with this throwback event, we are also able to collect up stars that we can spend in our seasonal store, where they added another exotic cache, but now a seasonal cache, giving you again the ability to get previous exotics guaranteed from the previous seasons. So throughout the next 3 weeks, we are able to collect stars that we can then spend on the seasonal exotic caches. If I have more information about it, I will keep you updated, but this is all we know for now. Then jumping over to priority objectives, they changed a few things to that, and they added the abandon ability. So now you can just abandon any objectives if you don't want to complete it, or if you cannot complete it, and that has a cooldown of 60 minutes. So every hour you can abandon one of the priority objectives if you don't want to do it or you cannot complete it. And within the priority objectives, they also removed the time limited activities. There are some UI changes as well, with the SHD watch and the seasonal modifier being moved up next to your specialization. And that brings back the all gear button that people were complaining about or people were missing in phase 1. And I think this is a pretty clean setup right now. Everything that we want will be on top. And for our last topic of the night, they changed a bunch of things surrounding the hostile modifiers, especially surrounding Starlight coding, as they reduced the damage from 90% to 60%, and now the enemy shows up the color that matches the correct range to get the protection away. So Yannick showed us some live gameplay for this as well. As you can see in the background, there are 2 enemies popping up on the screen, and they have a yellow and a red mark above their head. That is the respectable range that you need to shoot at this enemy. So yellow medium range, red long range, and they removed this modifier from certain NPCs to hopefully make it less annoying. And that's pretty much it. And of course, let me know in the comments down below what you think about these changes. And I'm glad they reverted a few changes back or made it at least a little less impactful. I would love to hear your opinion down below. And of course, they talked about a lot more information. We already talked about that in a previous video. And of course, you can check out the patch notes in the description. Thank you very much for sticking until the end. Like the video if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And of course, if you're new here and or you want to be updated by the Division 2, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you in the next one. Pure Prime out.